Alexis Mac Allister is a player that you very much admire down at Brighton. The highly respected journalist Fabrizio Romano is reporting at this moment Alexis Mac Allister to Liverpool, full agreement. Completed on the contract, 5-year deal. Liverpool will pay the buyout clause in the next days, way less than the £60 million fee that's been quoted. So Mac Allister to Liverpool seems to be all but done. All but done. And you would say a good fit?
I think he's an outstanding player. We saw that during the World Cup. I think Brighton were clever. They got him tied up just before that World Cup, knowing the quality that was there. Jimmy's a very intelligent, smart player. He was... When Messi was coming deep, he was flying forward. He just operates around his colleagues very intelligently, great technique, eye for goal. He's a real competitor. I think that's a really top sign in Liverpool. Good business again. You could say, what is it, 50 million? I don't know.
Is that a steal for less than 60?
It's not a steal, but I think it's a good. I still think it's worth paying for a player of this quality.
I mean, World Cup winner. Absolute standout player these days.
And I think it's healthy in a way that Brighton have let him move on.
I mean, Chelsea paid 105 million for Enzo Fernandez.
Yeah.
And look at what they got.
Exactly.
What are they getting in Mac Allister?
I think Fernandez is a good player, Jim, but not that kind of money. But yeah, I think he'll go on and do really well there, and that gives them a little bit more backbone and intelligence, a bit more quality. Quite young, weren't they, in those areas either side of Henderson in midfield, and Fabinho. So it'll be interesting to see what that midfield makeup is next season.
I've got the thing of it is, Simon, he's gone in there and he plays for Klopp.
Yeah.
And so many players want to play for Jurgen Klopp.
Well, let's see if this refresh of Liverpool can give them what they so clearly need, which is a different infusion of energy and youth, and probably the very nature of the way that Liverpool played previously was the very nature they couldn't play this year. So we'll see. I mean, I don't think Brighton have particularly tied him up, have they? What did they achieve? You've got a World Cup winner coming back. They tied him up to be able to give him to Liverpool at probably below market value. So I imagine they'll be a little bit disappointed with the situation, because it's happened rather quickly. I thought that we'd got Mac Allister tied up in a situation where someone was going to have to pay top money for him. Top money. Rather than I don't mind.
You'd have wanted more, Simon, would you?
I would have done, yeah. I want these big clubs that come along and take everyone else's vision and don't do it themselves to have to pay the prerequisite amount of price for it.
But isn't there something healthy about Brighton, the way they do business, the way they move players on? I mean,
I just wonder if it's something healthy if Brighton's reward for their brilliant endeavour and their scouting and their due diligence and all that they do that other people clearly can't be bothered with, is they get top money. Top money, take the top club's pants right down and make them pay for it, because they can't be bothered to do what Brighton are doing. They can't be bothered to go and develop the players, find the players, scour the globe for them, put them in a position where they can play in a side and give them the opportunity to be able to be successful. And then along come the Liverpools of the world that can leverage the legacy position they've got and get club players out of there.
I'm just interested to see how it would have worked if you'd have been there. And would you be saying to Mac Allister, sorry, no, you're not going, I want more money for you? Because
if they've met the release clause, the point is that they've met a release clause.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the discussion. I wouldn't be saying anything. No. I would have been saying to them, I would have wanted a bigger release clause. I'd want a release clause.
To get him to sign, they've got a release clause put in, so they put that in.
Well, didn't they do the contract, Jim? I thought we spoke about it. They did the contract before he went to the World Cup, didn't they?
That's right.
So this was in a totally different land.
His father was over.
Now, maybe they think they've got a good dough. Maybe they put a release clause in. They bought a player for 2 and 6 or whatever they paid for him, and they put a £40 million release clause in there. Well, the numbers that we probably think they've gotten towards.
Maybe it was the only way that they could get him to sign.
But at that point, he wasn't a World Cup winner. At that point, he was a Brighton player. And Brighton was selling Cucurella for 60 million quid. If Brighton were turning down the offers from Moses Caicedo, how do I pronounce it?
Caicedo, yeah.
Caicedo.
I just think it works,
if he's going, Simon, for between 45 and 50 million, as is being reported, who's getting the better deal?
Liverpool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Liverpool don't tend. There's been a few exceptions. They don't tend to sign bad players. They might sign players that take a little bit of time to hit the ground. Darwin Núñez hasn't set the world alight. I'm sure he will do. The boy they signed from PSV in January, Gakpo, is starting to come alive.
Yeah.
Diaz has been injured.
I think Núñez has been a big disappointment, hasn't he?
Well, he's not been. He's been okay.
He was being billed with Haaland at the start of the season.
He's been okay. He's been better than the boy over at Manchester United, Anthony. He's done more than he's done, and I called him crap last week. So from that point of view, you look at it and say that Klopp doesn't buy bad players. So 40-odd million quid for a player that's got high reputation is a decent bit of business for Liverpool. I'd like to see Brighton. And who am I to criticise Paul Barber and Tony Bloom? They've got the zeitgeist and building a football club on the back of sensible, pragmatic, decent management and thinking.
And they'll do it again.
And they'll do it again. But I'd like clubs like Liverpool and other clubs that are at the top of the tree to have to pay for other people's visions. That's what I'd like.
Yes, yeah. And this is the same Liverpool, Simon, who don't have Champions League football.
Yeah, but
so this is a lure of Liverpool.
It's
the
a legacy pull, isn't
Klopp.
it? It's a legacy pull.
He knows he's going to be in there with a fight at the start.
It's
of next
Klopp.
season.
It's Klopp. It's
We
the
all
Klopp
know
factor.
if Liverpool get it right, they'll be chasing after Man City, won't they? For sure. I'm just very interested to see this
It'll be a long bloody chase.
This release clause. I wonder when we it's Leicester that have gone down and look at theirs, a number of players that have allowed their contracts to run out. If it had been a bit healthier and it allowed people to leave a bit more organically, then they might have done better than they have, Jim, because it's healthier. And I wonder how much of that, the fact that they went down, was really that the bad blood within their own dressing room when West Fofana was allowed to leave the football club. Sort of ahead of the queue, really, ahead of a lot of players who'd done well there but weren't allowed to leave.
Sure. I get what you're saying about the Brighton aspect of this, Simon. If he goes for 45 or 50 million, then sure, Liverpool are getting a hell of a good deal. But having said that, who's to tell Paul Barber and Tony Bloom how to do their business? Because they do it.
And that's fine. But you look at
an incredible level.
But he's going in, Liverpool have a massive need, right? And he's going as part of that rebuild. And look at the transfer they've done. This is the smallest transfer they've done for some time, besides the boy that went to Spurs. But Ben White's gone to Arsenal for 50-odd million quid. Cucurella's gone to Man City for 60 million quid. They turned down the bid from Arsenal for 80 million quid. I would just, listen, you're right. We're sat here talking about people that are recruiting players, that are developing them, that are able to go. I just would like to see Liverpool have paid more.
They probably did the best they could, though, because if you think about it, why are you rushing to sign somebody before a World Cup? It's because you know the value of the player. You know maybe you're vulnerable. And it's the only thing, is the best deal they could make.
Yeah.
And
we'll see another instalment of it shortly, because it's likely that Moises Caicedo will be out this window.
Yeah.
And it's likely, well, top of the list there is Chelsea. But you're talking a lot more than McAllister. You'd be looking at 70, maybe 80 there.
Well, it depends.
Because Brighton could say no to Arsenal for their second bid of 70 in the last window.
But that's to do with the principle where the player was in his contract.
Yeah.
If the player's not got a release clause in his contract, it's fair money valuation, and the player decides he wants to go, then Brighton have got a different situation, which is a player saying, I want to leave.
Yeah.
And if the best bid in town is 60 million quid, then he's going for 60 million quid, isn't he?
So that is the news as we understand it here. Alexis Mac Allister to Liverpool, all but done. It's going to be a 5-year deal. Liverpool will pay the buyout clause in the next few days, way less, Fabrizio Romano understands, than the £60 million fee that has been quoted. Great business by Klopp and Liverpool. But of course, Brighton, as they've done in the past, will use that money extremely sensibly. We are sure of that. It's 11:15.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.